Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Kayvon. I'm your boy. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening today. As always, big thank you to everyone out there in the GSMC studios doing the great work that they do, our producer and everyone else. We appreciate it. We appreciate you fans for tuning in and listening. This show would not be the show that it is without really everything that you guys have done and all the tweets you've sent me and you know, just keeping the ratings going, keeping the ratings up. We appreciate that. And I do fully love a couple of the reviews that we got. And keep those tweets coming. Keep those tweets coming. We're going to have some fun with those tweets as we go throughout the NFL season here, because we are officially now entering into week 3. Well, I guess we should say week 3 is officially underway. We had a great Thursday night game. Great, I guess, is a little bit of a overstatement. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick, it was a battle of Florida. Ryan Fitzpatrick and the beard got the best of Gardner Minshew, the mustache, and the Jaguars. And I didn't see that coming. You know, I thought that the Jaguars were very impressive, surprising weeks 1 and 2. And I thought that they were going to come out and keep that momentum going. But they really showed that their defense was a mess. Those pieces that they lost, those star pieces like Jalen Ramsey and Yannick Ngakoue, they were missing those type of players against Ryan Fitzpatrick, who really was able to do whatever he wanted in that Miami offense. Got to give really a lot of props to Ryan Fitzpatrick, to that Miami Dolphins team, to head coach Brian Flores, who was doing a great job. I mean, they were so close to even beating the Bills last week. Even Josh Allen put up an outstanding 4-touchdown performance, and it was a 3-point game. Ryan Fitzpatrick, people look at him like he's old, like these older quarterbacks. He's only 37. I mean, we got Drew Brees and Tom Brady playing, and it is not a hot take to say that Ryan Fitzpatrick, through 2 weeks of the NFL season, is playing much better football than Drew Brees. Sounds crazy, right? Who would have thought that? That's not a hot take anymore. Now, will things come back to earth? Usually they do with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but this Dolphins team is interesting. And they won that game without their star cornerback, their big free agent signing, Byron Jones. And it just becomes the question of how long does this have to go before Tua comes in? Like, if Ryan Fitzpatrick keeps this up, I don't think we'll see Tua this year, right? And I told you guys from the start, before the season started, I said, either start Tua week 1 or keep him in bubble wrap and don't play him for the entire season. Because I said, what's the point? I said, what's the point of, starting Ryan Fitzpatrick, going 2-5 or 3-4 or 1-5 for all that, if possible, but they look better than that, and then bringing in Tua. That just puts pressure on Tua. And that's the last thing you need for a rookie who has injury issues, So I personally would try and ride this out now. I would ride this out and try and go the whole year of playing Fitzpatrick and then bring in Tua week 1 start of next year. That gives Tua a whole year to learn the offense. That gives Tua the whole year to learn under a really great mentor in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and just to get a good idea of what this NFL is like, what this league is like. And that, you can't even explain how much that can help a young QB like Tua. Now, I don't know if that will be possible. I don't know what Miami will look like 5 weeks down the road from now. But with that 7th wild card now, every team really feels like they have a chance. They have a chance to stay in it as long as you don't start off on a terrible spot, which is why this was such a big win for Miami. And guess what? It's going to be a big game for 10 other teams out there this week. See, there was 11 teams entering this week with a must-win. And I know you're saying, Kayvon, what are you talking about? It's week 3. How are you going to tell me must-win already in week 3? You're right, it is week 3. But it is a must-win for 10 teams now. It was 11, but Miami was 0-2, and they just won. So they're out there in the clear. There are now 10 teams entering Sunday with an 0-2 record. And it becomes a must-win for every single one of those teams, and I will tell you why in just a minute. And we will look through those teams and see which teams are in a good position to turn this thing around, to flip this boat around and head back to the right direction, or are going to keep on sailing down the wrong way. All right, we'll go through that, but we've got a packed show. It's a beautiful football weekend. College football, SEC is back. That makes everything better. I love seeing it. I'm watching some great games right now. I just saw Oklahoma get upset by Kansas State. 2nd year in a row, they have now lost to Kansas State. Not good to lose in week 2, though, in a schedule where you're pretty much playing all Big 12. Now, lucky for them, they can win out, and they can still probably, make that college football playoff if they win out and then win the Big 12 title game. But Texas is going to be a lot better, and it will be interesting. But, wow, congrats to K-State going into Oklahoma, 2nd week of the season, upsetting them for the 2nd year in a row. So great week of college football, great week of NFL. We've got maybe one of the best regular season games of the season coming up already in week 3 with that Monday night showdown of the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champion, the defending Super Bowl MVP, going into the defending regular season MVP's house, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Is that not going to be a showcase of the ages? I mean, the two young franchise quarterbacks, the two really headline stars of the league for years and years moving forward, facing off on Monday night on ESPN. I cannot wait for that matchup. We will dive into that. We're going to look at the 0-2 teams, as I said. We'll dive into that matchup. We'll talk about all the other matchups. Not all of them, but some other big ones that we have going on. We've got 2-0 Los Angeles Rams heading to the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. That's a big matchup of the weekend. What's going to happen in that game? I'll give you guys my breakdown, my thoughts on that. Then we're going to do something really cool. Coming up in segment number 3, we are going to have on Emmet Weinman. My guy, Emmet Weinman, he is a host. He has his own show for GSMC Fantasy Football. You guys can check that out. He drops 2 shows a week. And he does a great job really breaking down fantasy and breaking down football in general. He's a football guy, knows all about football. And what we're going to do is we are going to bring him on come segment 3. So hang on to that. Segment number 3, we're going to bring him on. And we're going to give you guys all the fantasy needs and questions and wants that you have. All right? I mean, anything you can think of. He's going to give us our top quarterback to use, our top running back, top wide receiver, top tight end, defense. He's got a great little note on which defenses to stream each week. And we'll break down some games. Look, he's a Cowboys fan. His freaking Cowboys broke my heart. Actually, my Falcons broke my own heart last week. But, he'll definitely have some words for me. Probably try and brag a little bit. I'll have to shut that down real quick, but I know that's going to come. So we'll have him on in segment number 3. Stay tuned for that. That will be really fun. That will be our first guest coming on this show. And then, I know you guys have had a lot of fantasy questions. I've gotten those tweets. So we'll answer those. and we'll see how that goes and maybe make that a weekly thing depending on how it is. And it's going to be great. And then after that, we will do, to end the show, we're going to do a little bit of buy or sell. Buy or sell, just like a stock market. It's 2-0, right? So 2 weeks in, you've seen each team play twice. You can get a good idea of what a team's identity is, right? Of what a team is going to look like moving forward. Now, just because they're 2-0 or 0-2 doesn't mean that's how they're going to trend the rest of the year, but you can see how they play, right? Are they a real 2-0 team, or are they, a couple lucky bounces 2-0 team? So we're going to play a game of buy or sell where we're going to run through all the 2-0 teams, and I'm going to tell you if I'm buying their stock right now as it's low before it starts to shoot up, or if I'm selling it. If I'm selling it because that 2-0 is a bit of a mirage for what their season really is going to be moving forward. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to give you guys my best bets. We went a good 4-1 last week for the best bets. I hope everyone listened. As I say, be smart, be sensible. Don't bet anything you don't have. But we gave you our best bets. We went 4-0, so we're 6-4 on the season now. Big bounce back after a 2-3 week one, so that was great. So stay tuned for all of that coming up. But let's get into this, all right? As we said, there was 11 teams entering Thursday night with an 0-2 record. 11 teams. Now, the Dolphins won, so now there are 10 teams. The Dolphins were able to dodge that dreaded 0-3 start that nobody wants to go into. So now we have to look and see, can the other 10 teams do that as well? Since the league, listen to this, for all my friends out there, for all my fans out there that are fans of 0-2 teams, all right? I'm speaking to you right now. Open those ears. I'm speaking to you. Since the league changed to its 8-division format that it's in right now, 8-division, 32 teams, the format started in 2002, they switched to that. 80 teams since 2002 have started 0-3, all right? Under that 12-team format, which was in place all the way up until last season. Remember, now it's 14 teams, 7 teams from each conference. But under that 12-team format, just one of those 80 teams have made the playoffs after starting 0-3. You get that? Since 2002, guys, 80 teams have gone 0-3, and only one team since then has actually come back to make the playoffs. It is truly do or die, as I've said. That's why it's not crazy to say week 3 is do or die, because it really is do or die. All right? And if we go back even further, if we go back those past 18 seasons since 2002, right, and identify the 0-3 teams that would have made it under the current playoff. Now it's a 14-team playoff, right? So let's look at it that way. If we go back and look at since 2002 and identify the 0-3 teams that would have made it if it was a 14-team playoff, we can add one more team to that list. One more team. The 2013 Steelers. So, 2 teams. If it was a 14-team playoff format, or a 12-team playoff format. Still, only 2 teams are making the playoffs after an 0-3 start since 2002. And actually, under the current rules of 14 teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers that missed the playoffs in 2012, 2013, 2018, 2019, all would have made it to the playoffs. So that would have given Mike Tomlin a run of 10 consecutive playoff berths, which is just amazing, amazing. So it's do or die. If you go down, facts are facts. Numbers don't lie. I don't care how good your team looks. I don't care if your quarterback's Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, or Matt Ryan. I don't care if you have Julio Jones on your team. If you lose this week, you are done. You're done. Unless a miracle happens. All right? So 2 out of the 80 teams implies that to go 0-3, you have a 2.5% chance of making it to the playoffs. Teams that start 0-2 over that time frame frame would have made it to the 14-team playoff 13% of the time. So hope is not lost yet. That's a huge jump, 2.5 to 13. All right? So if you win this game, that is a huge jump where you are still fully in this, especially now with the 7 teams from each conference. So it's game on, baby. It is game on. Now let's run through it. Let's look at those 2-0 teams and let's talk about it, right? All right. So I first want to go through the 2-0 teams, or the 0-2 teams that frankly have no hope, okay? That even if they won this week, my eyes tell me, I study football, I watch the film, I know football, I've been covering it for a long time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to tell you this straight up. My eyes tell me that these teams, they're just not going to make the playoffs anyways, okay? The first one is the Jets. Look, the Jets have been just anemic, okay? It's hard to watch. The only fun thing about watching the Jets is my guy Braxton Berrios dominating last week, getting a touchdown. That was awesome to see. Maybe the Jets should start realizing they have some real talent on their team like Braxton. Give him some more playing time, all right? Now, the Jets are like 14-point underdogs, which is a huge overreaction by Vegas. No NFL team should be that big of an underdog against the Colts this week. But the Jets are just not, they're not making the playoffs, all right? I feel bad for Sam Darnold. He has no help. They're done. They're not making the playoffs. And that owner of theirs that called their coach an offensive brilliant genius really needs to start rethinking things on that. The next one is the Giants. Look, I like Danny Dimes. I like him a lot. I think he has a lot of potential. I think that he clearly can sling the ball. You know, he's got a good arm. He's just got to learn how to take care of the ball. That's all. He's got to learn, and that's a big thing. So it's not that's all, but he's got to learn how to take care of the ball. But with Saquon out now, sometimes teams really rally when their best player goes down. This is going to be tough. They'll win a couple games, but they're not going to make the playoffs. The next one is the Broncos and the Bengals. The Broncos, they're going to be missing Drew Lock. I don't even think Drew Lock is that great of a quarterback, but they'll be missing him for a while, 6 weeks probably. And then the Bengals, what I love seeing out of Joe Burrow, they just don't have enough talent on the offensive or defense side of the ball yet. So those 4 teams are a solid no. They're not making the playoffs. They're not going on a run. Maybe they can string together a few wins here and there, but we can put them in the section of, unless some crazy things really crazy things have to happen for them to make it, but most likely they're out. Then you have the next category of there's a chance if all stars align, but it's a very, very slim chance. And that's the Panthers and the Lions, okay? Both teams have not looked good. In fairness to the Lions, if DeAndre Swift catches that pass, they're 1-1 right now, and we're not even talking about them, okay, against the Bears week 1. But other than that, they get Kenny Golladay back, so that can be a huge boost, but their defense looks terrible. Matt Patricia's not a good coach, and they're their defense just can't stop anyone. And I feel bad for Matt Stafford. Their run game is not there. Maybe Kenny Golladay will help. I think he will with Matt Stafford, but they're going to have to outscore teams every single week because that defense is really bad. And so it's going to be tough for them to go on any type of run, especially with, the Packers and what they're doing in that division. And then the next one is the Panthers. They lost Christian McCaffrey. They've kept things close week 1 against the Raiders. They kept things close against the Bucs for a little while until Leonard Fournette and Brady really took over that game. So while I like their offensive pieces, and that's why I give them a chance, it's a very slim chance for those. And then you have the category of the 4 teams that I actually believe can still go on a run if they win this week. And that is the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Houston Texans. Okay, so what do at least 3 in my mind, 3 of those 4 teams have in common? They have very good quarterbacks. I know Carson Wentz has not looked good, but to me, he's still an elite quarterback, okay? They have Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson. Now, on the Vikings standpoint, I don't think Kirk Cousins is elite, but they have enough offensive firepower, and their defense is better other than that secondary. Now, their defense has been awful, and Mike Zimmer's got to get everything together, and I do think he will because he's a good coach. So because of him and their offensive coordinator, Gary Kubiak, I put them in that mesh. But Kirk Cousins is going to have to play a whole lot better. So when it comes to those 4 teams, if they win this weekend, then they have a chance. Now, the Texans are going to have a hard time winning because they're going into Pittsburgh. And their offense has looked terrible. They are clearly missing DeAndre Hopkins. There's a lot of talk about them going out and signing Antonio Brown, which I think they really need to do. They really do, because this was a terrible idea by Bill O'Brien to trade DeAndre Hopkins, and it's hurting Deshaun Watson, and it's hurting that entire offense. It's stale. They can't move the ball. Deshaun Watson is getting pressured. He's getting hit like every single time. That offense is going to have to change. Something's going to have to start clicking for them to go on a run, but they have the talent to do that with Watson at quarterback, right? The Eagles is the interesting one to me, and I think the Eagles actually have the best chance of turning this around because of the division they're in. Now, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they're 1-1. Washington is 1-1, and the Giants are 0-2. So Dallas goes up to Seattle this week, who is playing amazing. If Dallas loses, which most likely they will, they go to 1-2. If the Eagles beat the Bengals at home, which they definitely should, they go to 1-2, and they're officially tied for first place in that division. That's the worst division in football. Because of that, the Eagles, they are still in this to win the division and everything, but it comes down to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has to play better. And we're going to get into what Carson Wentz is doing wrong, because I am someone that picked Carson Wentz, and I like Carson Wentz, and I thought he was going to have a great season. And I've been wrong on that so far. And I went back and I watched their first 2 games to understand why. Why? Because I have so many people. This is the part about doing sports radio, sports talk. When you make a prediction and it looks like it's wrong, people are going to come at you. And I've had tweets, and they've been good ones. They've been funny ones, saying, "Ha, Kayvon, you're wrong. You're wrong about Wentz." I love it. Throw it in my face. So I had to find out why. I had to give you guys an answer why. And I have that answer. We're going to give it to you at the other side of this break, as well as what the Falcons are looking at to go on a run as well. After that, just awful loss. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your boy, Kayvon Izami. We'll be right back after this.
Football, basketball, and baseball are all back, and that means it's time to get down your bets. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Why, you ask? BetUS is the pioneer in online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know that you're going to get paid.
Right. You need a sports book that offers everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horses, esports, entertainment, and all kinds of crazy prop bets and futures. Nobody in the industry gives you better or bigger bonuses than BetUS. Go to betus.com now and fill out your information. It only takes a minute. And when you get to the "How did you hear about us" box, type in GSMC Football. And you can get up to 150% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. I bet at BetUS, and so should you. Join BetUS today, and don't forget to type in GSMC Football to get up to 150% bonus on your first deposit. That's betus.com.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this great day. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday, Sunday, watching football. Whenever you listen to this, hopefully you listen to it before the games on Sunday, so we can give you a little breakdown of what's going on. Just talked about the 0-2 teams, how this is a must-win for every 0-2 team out there. The Miami Dolphins were the first team on Thursday night to make sure that they were able to write off the wrong of week 1 and 2 and win. So they are out of that possibility of the dreaded 0-3 start that nobody wants to go, wants to get. And remember, as I said, since 2002, teams to go 0-3 have a 2.5% chance of making the playoffs, and that's with a 14-team playoff format like this year. You can't go 0-3. You cannot go 0-3. You cannot. So we'll see. I was talking about the Eagles and why they're doing so bad, and this is my thing. I went back and I watched the tape. And I looked at the tape hard because, again, I was high on Wentz. I still am high on Wentz. So I wanted to know what is going on. And Wentz is clearly out there trying to win every game on his own shoulders. It's like he feels like he is Superman. And that's not how this works. If you watch it, his left leg is it's stiff when he throws the ball, which means he's trying to just pound every single throw it as hard as he can. And you can tell that he's out there and he feels like he doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't like the play calls or something is going on with him out there because he is trying to do it on his own. He's holding the ball too long. He's trying to rip the ball in small little pockets that shouldn't be thrown. And he's just ripping the ball when he doesn't need to be doing it that way. He needs to understand the play call. He needs to be okay with the play call, or he needs to go to Doug Peterson and say, hey, I don't like some of the things we're doing. Let's step it back a little bit and let me put some of my plays in there. Because clearly Carson Wentz is trying to throw a 90-yard home run every single time he's out in the field. And that doesn't need to happen. It doesn't. I mean, at one point, they were 4 points down, or it was like 5 points down from the Rams. And the Rams were dominating that whole game. They were driving. They were in the red zone. And if they scored, they took the lead. And Carson Wentz just throws a terrible throw, and it ended up being intercepted. Those things are not usually what I see from Carson Wentz. And that's why I was so shocked. So I went back and looked at it. He's trying too much. He's trying to do too much. He needs to calm down. He needs to understand, yes, he does not have the weapons that he usually should have. I mean, he does not have that many weapons. They are definitely lacking on the offensive side of the ball with weapons. And it's really hard to play with two tight ends out there the way they have been. They also need to cut that back. Look, either Ertz is the guy or Goddard's the guy. You can't keep them both out there like that, all right? And Doug Peterson and Wentz, they need to come together, and they need to understand that they need to call something that they both like, because Wentz is clearly uncomfortable out there, and he is clearly not liking the things that they're running. You can just tell by the way he's playing and by the way he's trying to do it all on his own. So that's got to switch, and I think that will change, and they will get back on pace this week against a Bengals team that has a really bad defense. Miles Sanders is your friend, Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson, Miles Sanders is Carson Wentz's friend. Hand the ball off, hand the ball off, hand the ball off. Look at what the Browns did and Kevin Stefanski last week against the Bengals. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both had a day. They both had a big-time day. That's what Miles Sanders needs to do as well. That against that Bengals defense, that's a huge possibility. So, because of the things that I was seeing on tape with Wentz, and all of those are fixable, and because of the division, I think the Eagles can turn it around. Now with the Falcons. Because of what the Falcons did last week, a lot of people are going to say, are you kidding me? How do you bounce back a win like that? It was an atrocious win, all right? And they should come out pissed off, and they should be really angry, and they should win by 30 against the Bears this week at home. They really should. And if they don't, then things have to change immediately, and their season's over, okay? That's it. But if they do win, they then play the Packers, which is a tough one. After that, though, they play 5 straight games against 0-2 teams. They have the Vikings, the Lions, the Broncos, and then 2 games against the Panthers before their Week 10 bye. All of those games are winnable. If they beat the Bears on Sunday, they are ready to turn this around. Plus, no team in the NFC South is 2-0. So they're still right in the mix of that. Their schedule for the next couple of weeks, other than the Packers, is winnable. They have every reason to turn this around. There are no more excuses. No more excuses. Now, there is some breaking news that has come out just now, and I want to go over this. It looks like rookie cornerback out of Clemson, A.J. Terrell, has been tested positive for COVID-19, and he will not be able to suit up on Sunday. This makes A.J. Terrell the first player in the NFL with having to be held out because of being tested positive for COVID-19 since the season started. Since the season started, there has not been one player that has tested positive for COVID-19 and has not been able to play because of that. All right? The NFL has been doing an amazing job. The players have been doing an amazing job. You really got to hand it to them. You really do, because they've been doing everything that they need to do. They've been taking this seriously, and it's been working great. So now you get this news, which is really, really nerve-wracking as a Falcons fan. First of all, I hope A.J. Terrell's okay. But second, this is disappointing. This is disappointing, and I know a lot of people are going to say I'm overreacting about this, but he's going to have to make it up to his team because they are now in a must-win game in Week 3. He is their best cornerback as a rookie, and he goes out there, and I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was out partying or what happened, but he got COVID-19, and not only does he now not put himself in a position to play on Sunday, but he might have gotten other players COVID-19 as well. Now, as of now, everyone has tested negative in that test. So it looks like over Thursday night or Friday night, AJ Terrell's symptoms came up or his test came up as positive. He doesn't have any symptoms as of now or anything like that. All the other Falcons came up negative. Now, they were all tested again this morning, and those results will come out tomorrow morning. So we'll see. Also, the NFL does contact tracing, which means all Falcons players, if anyone was within 6 feet of AJ Terrell for 15 minutes or more, then they might have to sit out as well because they were that close to him for a long period of time. That's something that we're going to have to watch. So this is very, very disappointing. Very disappointing, especially if he puts any of his other players in harm's way and not being able to play. This is a must-win game for the Falcons. Julio Jones is already questionable because of an injury, and this is not good breaking news that we just got here from Adam Schefter. So we'll monitor that as we go here. You guys will be able to check up on it. But not good news. Not good news. Definitely best wishes for AJ Terrell. I hope he's okay. As of now, it seems like he is, and we hope that continues, and we definitely hope no one else has also tested positive for COVID-19 on that Falcons team or on any team, because so far it's really been a great job by the NFL and the NFL players, and I just hope that they can keep that up. I really do. All right, now I want to switch gears to this. We've got a great, great game coming up this Sunday. I think it's one of the best games on the docket, other than that Monday night thriller that we're going to have between Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. That's going to be really, really good. I want to talk about this Los Angeles Rams, Buffalo Bills game, all right? Both teams are 2-0. Both teams are 2-0 and have really shown a lot of promise. And I think that both teams have been a surprise. Now, a lot of people thought that the Bills would be good because they made the playoffs last year, right? But you know what? A lot of people, though, were very questionable about Josh Allen and if he can keep progressing. This man has progressed every single year since being in the NFL. He deserves the props now. He really does. We got to stop questioning of if he can throw the ball. He's leading the league in passing yards right now. Okay? He can sling the ball. There's no doubt about that. Now, what we do have to notice is, can he play like the way he has been against really good playoff teams like the Rams this week? And that's why I'm so excited for this game, because the Rams have looked really good too, and they play two pretty decent teams. You know, they win and beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, which is, you know, that's no easy feat. And then they went into Philadelphia and beat Philadelphia as well. So those are two really good wins by the Rams. And Sean McVay is showing to us why people and teams wanted to hire whoever had a cup of coffee with him, because this is what he does. And he's showing why he's such a good coach. I mean, he has Jared Goff on the move more than any other quarterback out there, and it's beautiful. I love the way he runs his offense. I think the pre-snap motions and everything that's going on in it has just been it's been great. It's been fun to watch, and they're doing it. You know, they got rid of Todd Gurley. Everyone thought, what? How are they doing that? And they're doing it with a running back by committee. One week it was Malcolm Brown. The next week it's Darrell Henderson. Robert Woods has been great. Cooper Kupp's been great. Tyler Higbee, their tight end's been great. And the defense. Jalen Ramsey is looking like the 2 first-round picks that he got that the Rams had to give up. He's looking like he's worth every bit of that. Every bit of that. Aaron Donald, the best defensive tackle in the league. Like, the Rams have weapons. And they're in a very tough NFC West. But I am super excited for this game. I think the Rams win this game, but I think it's going to be very close. And if the Bills had fans, I might actually lean towards the Bills, because that stadium can get wild. But listen to this little nugget. Since Sean McVay has become the head coach of the Rams are 5-0 straight up on early kickoffs. So that 1 o'clock kickoff, you know, coming to the East Coast, that 1 o'clock kickoff, they are 5-0 straight up since he's become a coach. Now, that's tough. You know what that means, right? Because we always talk about teams that go from West Coast to East Coast. Are they going to be ready? Is that jet lag going to kick in? This means that they're well coached. This means that he has a routine down that works for his players. It gets his players in the game mode. It gets them ready to go, and I respect that. That shows good coaching right there. So while I think this is going to be a slugfest, I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Josh Allen will put up the stats that he will put up, and he's been putting up. But I think the Rams will do a little bit more just to win. But let's be clear. I love the way the Bills are going. I really do. And when we play a game of buy or sell later on, I'll tell you guys where I feel the Bills are at with that 2-0 record, and if I'm buying, or if I'm selling. But I can tell you what, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. And they're heading, the way they've built this team around Josh Allen, it's just been perfect. It really has been. Bringing in Stephon Diggs. You know, that he's leading the league in receiving yards now. Devin Singletary, you know, he looks all right. You know, Cole Beasley, John Brown. They brought in receivers that fit their quarterback. That's something that Philadelphia has not been able to do. They brought in receivers that really fit their quarterback, and that's impressive. That's what you like to see. Now, let's switch gears to another game here that everyone is very excited to see. Dallas Cowboys heading up to Seattle Seahawks. All right, we'll talk more about this game when we get Emmet on next segment here coming up in just about 6-7 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Talk all your fantasy needs, break down some games like this one with Emmet Weinman, who has his own GSMC Fantasy Football show where you can check out on wherever you guys get your podcast. So this game is interesting to me. It's going to be a shootout. You know, Russell Wilson is on a mission this year to prove to everyone that he is an MVP caliber quarterback. It's just that simple. He is on a mission this year to show to everyone that he should win the MVP. He's mad because he's never had an MVP vote before, which is just absurd. And I don't know how that's happened, but he never has. And all off season, we were talking about, when is Seattle going to unleash him? When is Seattle going to finally unleash Russell Wilson? And I didn't think they were going to do it yet, but they have. And he is on a historic start. If you look at his numbers, 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception through 2 games. There's been 2 other quarterbacks that have done that through 2 games of the NFL season. That was 2018 Patrick Mahomes when he went on that unbelievable run that whole entire regular season and won the MVP. And then 2013 Peyton Manning when he was in his first year with Denver coming off that neck surgery where he put up like 50-something touchdowns and broke the regular season touchdown record. That's the type of pace that Russell Wilson's on. And he now has the weapons around him. You know, Tyler Lockett, great receiver. But that shouldn't be your number one. DK Metcalf is officially becoming that number one receiver. I mean, look at him. Look at the way he's built. He's like a Julio Jones, but bigger. He's not as fast as Julio Jones, but he knows how to run his routes, and he can get going. He's quick. And with that type of muscle, I mean, they're using really DK Metcalf in the exact way they need to. And then that opens up the door for Tyler Lockett, who I think is a fantastic receiver, but he's best at that as that number 2 receiver. You know, so, and then they also have Chris Carson, who's a really good running back. The offense is there. The offense is there, especially when they open things up for Seattle like that. The problem is their defense. Their defense has been one of the worst in the league. They're last in yards allowed. They've allowed the most passing yard each game. You know, this is going to be a huge fantasy game because the Cowboys' defense hasn't been so great either. Those cornerbacks got eaten up last week by Julio and Ridley and Gage and Hurst. And you know the same thing is going to happen this week, but with David Moore and Metcalf and Lockett and Carson. So you got to play these guys in fantasy. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Both teams are very weak on defense, and it's going to come down to who has the ball last. Now, I think Seattle wins this game, and I think they win it eventually. You know, I think it's a close game throughout, but eventually they'll win by a touchdown or 2. But Dallas will be able to keep up because of how bad Seattle's defense is. And that's the one thing that worries me, all right? You know, they have a guy like Jamal Adams who's very good. You know, they have a fantastic, probably the best linebacker in the league in Bobby Wagner. Seriously, I love the way Bobby Wagner plays. It's so fun watching him out there all the time. Jamal Adams does a great job as well. And then, you know, they have KJ Wright, who's a good linebacker as well. Other than that, they really don't have many defensive pieces. So, can Dak Prescott lead his team to a victory up in Seattle? Can he play the way he did the last 2 quarters, I guess 2.5 quarters against the Falcons? Because let me tell you this, the Seahawks are not the Falcons. If the Cowboys come out the way they did against the Falcons and have a couple turnovers, that game is over from the start. Because Seattle will not allow them to come back. They won't. Who can limit the turnover? Who wins the turnover battle? You know, Russell Wilson's great at protecting the ball. Dak can get a bit lackadaisical with it at times. Who can run the ball the best? I think that Seattle will do a good job running on Dallas. I think Mike McCarthy's not going to run the ball that much. He's just shown that he doesn't really want to. He'll use Zeke in the passing game. He'll use him down in the red zone. But Dak should throw for over 400 yards this game. And Russell Wilson should get there, near there too. It's going to be a high-scoring, octane game. Guys like CeeDee Lamb will put up big numbers. Guys like, Michael Gallup should break out for his first big game of the year. Amari Cooper, he's there. And then, like I said, you have the DK Metcalfs, the Tyler Lockett's, and so on. I like Seattle in this game. I think that Seattle should win this. I think Seattle's the much better team. I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better coach. So I think they win this game, and I think Dallas got very lucky that they're not on the heels of going 0-3 if it wasn't for the stupid mistake that the Falcons made. But that is by far going to be one of the best games of the weekend, as well as that Rams and Bills game. And then, of course, my favorite game is that Monday night game, the Chiefs and the Ravens, in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson's 0-2 so far against the Chiefs, against Patrick Mahomes. Can he end that this Monday night? That's going to be the big question. Is that something that's weighing over him? It shouldn't. It's just the regular season. But so far, Baltimore has picked up exactly where they left off last season. Their run game looks great, and their defense. See, their defense was a bit of an issue last year. And what did they do? They got run over by Derrick Henry, and they decided to change that. And they went and got Calais Campbell, and that has made a huge difference. And their run defense has been so much better. So you got to give Baltimore props there. I cannot wait for that one. And it's going to be an interesting one. And we'll make our picks on that later on. Now we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it's time to bring on our first guest of the show, Emmet Weinman, host of GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. He will come on with us to talk all things fantasy, all things football. He's going to give you the best DFS lineup for the weekend, give you the best quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, defense to play. We're going to break it all down right here next. Do not go anywhere. You do not want to miss this one. GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon. We'll be right back after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. We are really excited, honored to have on a guest today to talk some fantasy football. We've got Emmet Weinman, who has his own show with the GSMC Podcast Network. He has his own fantasy show. Lots of great advice, lots of great content coming out every week, twice a week. You guys can check out his show. So we thought we'd have him on to talk a little fantasy, see what positions he likes best, what DFS lineups he likes, and have a little fun, talk some football. Emmet, how you doing today, man?
Man, when it's football, I'm always doing well.
Isn't that right? It's pretty exciting. You got SEC back. You're a big college guy, right?
I mean, I'm not more NFL than college, but I'll definitely watch the games. I mean, not that they're on.
Okay.
So it's football, man.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm more NFL than college too. Do you have a college team?
No, I don't. No.
What? And you're a Cowboys fan, right?
Yep.
Oh gosh.
From New Jersey.
Oh
Kind of
gosh.
places, right?
Man, honestly, you're lucky you know fantasy, because after last week, I really don't want to talk to any Cowboys fans. I mean, dude, you don't understand. Like, I still feel, I can't even explain the emotions that have gone through my body since that day.
Was that worse than the Super Bowl?
To be honest with you, man, I really think it was worse than the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl, we made a bunch of mistakes. Like, we should have just ran the ball. Matt Ryan should have thrown the ball away instead of get sacked. You know, that brings a lot of crap in my head too. But this was pure stupidity, man. Like, you're talking about 5 players that don't know the damn rules of the game. Like, how bad can you get there, you know?
I mean, it was a multitude of things that just added up. I mean, the Cowboys, they dug themselves in a hole early on.
Yeah.
I mean, they had two failed fake punts, not one, 2.
I know.
It's so rare to see that. You had the 3 fumbles early on in the game. I think it was Oluka. He was just kept punching the ball out.
Yeah, he's a beast, man.
He's a great player. He's fast. I mean, I think he got hurt in the game, though, so hopefully he's well. Same with McKinley. Those injuries really helped Dallas in the stretch down in the game. That just allowed him to come back, but I mean, my God, what a game. I mean, as a fan, I mean, just knowing that you're going to lose, you program your mind to lose the game. I mean, obviously, when you go down 20-0, you turn the ball over 5 times, your odds on analytics of winning a game are probably like 1%. So to see that was, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever see anything like that again.
No, it is funny how you say it that way because you're right. You do train, as a fan, you do really program your mind to lose. Like, the thing about me, you know, when we got up 27, I was watching it with my sister and my brother-in-law, and I told them the whole time, I was like, guys, I promise you, this lead is not safe. Because of what happened in the Super Bowl, I know how we freaking blow leads. Like, we do it like it's our job. And Dak Prescott started to get rolling, and when Dak Prescott's on, he's on. Like, he can really hit. And with those receivers, I mean, CeeDee Lamb looked awesome, man. He was hitting CeeDee Lamb left and right. Amari Cooper made a great catch. Julio Jones on the other end drops the pass that you never see Julio drop. So it was you're right, there was a lot of things that went into it, but they still could have won if they just knew the rules at the end of the game. And that's the most frustrating part as a Falcons fan. You know, I know you're happy, you're 1-1, you're going to Seattle, and you know, a lot of people think you guys can put up a good show. How do you feel about that game, by the way?
Well, I mean, just to touch up on your point about the Falcons, I mean, that Julio catch would have won you the game.
Yeah, it would have been over.
I mean, it would have been over. It would have been a 3-touchdown lead going into the fourth quarter. No way.
Yeah.
But going into the Seattle game, I mean, look, how can you not feel good after that win? I think that locker room is on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those guys are just really getting to know each other and fighting for each other. But in terms of matchups, I mean, it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's Russell Wilson, so obviously Russell Wilson at his house is pretty hard to beat. Mm-hmm. I don't care what team it is. I mean, you saw New England get absolutely torched last week in their secondary, and we all know how good that is. So, I mean, with Dallas, they have an uphill battle to climb, but I'll tell you what, I mean, with the way their offense is playing and with the way Dak's playing, I think most importantly, Dak gives them, I mean, I said this last week in my podcast, Dak really had to put on his superhero cape if he wanted to win that Falcons game. And that's exactly what he did. So this week, he's going to have to do the same thing.
Yeah, and he did it. And the podcast, Emmet Weinman on here, he hosts GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. You can check it out all the time. A lot of great stuff. And you're right, man. And that's why Dak has been saying he wants more money, because of exactly what he did in that game against the Falcons. I mean, not many teams or quarterbacks are coming back from that lead. I don't care if you are playing a Falcons team that stays giving up leads like that. It's just not happening. But he never gave in. He's a true leader. He talks like a leader in his press conferences. That's what I love about him. But when it comes down to this Seattle game, it's going to be high scoring. There's no doubt about that. The weapons on both sides of the ball are awesome. I cannot wait to watch DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then on y'all's end, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. I hope Gallup gets going for fantasy. I have him. We'll get into that in just a second. Well, let's transition to fantasy right now. Do you have anything else you want to say on that game?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you got Gallup. I think you're in good shape. I mean, I think Gallup is an outstanding player.
I do too.
This week, I love the matchup for Seattle. I mean, none of those guys in the secondary can cover. I mean, Seattle on defense has 3 people. It's Bobby Wagner, it's KJ Wright, it's Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
Nobody else is really anything relevant. I mean, Jamal Adams, he screams off the edge. So if you're Dak, you really have to watch out for that, and hopefully they have Zeke in the backfield blocking in case he does come screaming off the edge. But, I mean, if you give him a clean pocket, he's going to have all those receivers over 100 yards. And, heck, you might even have the tight end Dalton Schultz who got going last week over 100 yards. I mean, you can't give him time and expect to play defense really well.
Yeah, no, Dak has a great matchup this week. And Dalton did look really good against us as well. But pretty much every freaking offensive player has looked good against us so far. All right, so let's get into it, Emmett. Let's start with the QB that you love going into week 3 here, week 3 of the NFL Showdown. You can give us a couple if you want, but rank your number 1 QB where you're playing this week if you have him.
Well, who else am I going to go but number 4, right? I mean, listen, I got a joke on my podcast. Obviously, it sounds like a homer coming from me, but I mean, I have a joke. I say, best quarterback in the league is Dak, and a lot of people roll their eyes when I say that. Oh, it's Lamar. Oh, it's Mahomes. Oh, it's Russ Wilson. Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. Oh, it's this guy. I mean, look, I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's a quarterback in history that could have came back down 20-0, turning the ball over 5 times. So, I mean, going into Seattle, I think gives the world to Dak. Russell Wilson too. If you have him, I think he's an obvious start. And then your boy, I like your boy this week, Matty Ice.
I love Matty Ice.
I think he's starting to really turn into a quarterback that's just a must-play every single week. If you have him in fantasy, you play him every week. In terms of DFS, though, I think there's better options. Mm-hmm. I'd say for value, your number 1 option is probably going to be Cam Newton. This is 3 weeks in a row now. I've given out Cam Newton. I think Cam is just you saw last week. I mean, he's got his arm back. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's healthy. He's really healthy. I mean, he's looking – those last 2 years in Carolina, he just never looked healthy, and it really affected that offense and the team as a whole. But now, I mean, under Belichick with a health like that, I mean, Cam is just going to turn into the quarterback that I don't want to say like the MVP version, but it's going to be pretty close because I think now he has a more vast knowledge of the game. His leadership is excellent, and I just think going into the Raiders – I mean, the Raiders are coming off a pretty, let's say, exciting win, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I expect, and the Patriots are coming off a pretty heartbreaking loss. So I expect the Patriots to come into Las Vegas, and really bounce back and hit them hard. So I expect a big day from Cam Newton. And then my last pick, probably Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Kyler Murray playing the Lions. I mean, you saw what he did to the Redskins D-line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that he's got the Lions this week and Matt Patricia with that slow defense, I think he's just going to run all over them.
Yeah, and the thing, Cam is healthy and he's pissed, man. He's on a revenge tour. Like, he wants every team in the NFL, all 31 teams other than the Patriots. I mean, shoot, even the Patriots for waiting on him and giving him a cheaper contract. He wants to prove to everyone that he still hasn't, and you hit it on the nail, he just hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been healthy. He looks healthy. He's in a great offensive scheme with Josh McDaniels and Belichick. And you never know if Belichick's going to make him run 15 times or if he's going to beat you with his arm. And that's why I love your pick on that. Hey, I want to touch here on Matt Ryan that you just talked about him because I agree. I think Matt Ryan has looked great so far. I feel bad for him on the season he's had. There's questions about Julio Jones being out. So for fantasy relevance here, does that make you a little bit skeptical about playing Ryan? And what about Calvin Ridley? Calvin Ridley's done so great this year because he's a great receiver. Awesome player. But let's not lie. Julio Jones takes a lot of attention away, which helps Ridley out. Both of those players, with Julio being out, does that give you worries or would you still play them all day?
Ridley's a must-play every single week. I was really, really impressed. I didn't get a good look. I mean, really, the first look I got at Ridley was the game his rookie year when we played the Falcons. I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
We beat them down there back when we had Jason Garrett, I think, to turn that season around. But seeing Ridley, I think he dropped a pass there and it ended up in Leighton Vander Esch's hands. But that's not the Ridley anymore. I mean, he is a well-developed player. Coming from the same breed as Julio, having Julio under your wing is awesome. Or being under Julio's wing, I should say. Mm-hmm. But just the way he's developed, I think he's the number one. I mean, he really is the number one receiver. There's a lot of teams that would sign him in a heartbeat. I just think he's a player you start every single week, don't look back. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's valid. I mean, I understand he's getting the man coverage because Julio's taking a lot of attention. But, I mean, in terms of how that affects Matty Ice this week, I'd still bet on him, man. I mean, bet on him isn't playing because I know what I'm getting. Mm-hmm. You know? I know I'm going to get 250 yards, 2 touchdowns at minimum.
Yeah.
Now, the Bears defense, I mean, they're solid. I don't think they're that Bears defense that everybody's hyping up to be. I mean, obviously they still have Khalil Mack. They just signed Robert Quinn, who's a really good pass rusher. But, I mean, their secondary isn't as good as it was before. I mean, they still have Eddie Jackson, but I'd still, at home, I mean, here's the thing, too. I mean, season's on the line for the Falcons.
Damn right.
Let's be real here.
Yeah, you are.
Season's on the line, so
it's a must win.
I really expect a big day.
It's a must win. If I've said it, we talked about it, me and you off air here. If the Falcons don't win, Dan Quinn's got to go right away. And I hate calling for people's job. I hate doing it, but enough is enough, man. If the Falcons do not win at home against a Bears team that I get is 2-0, but really, I mean, come on, if Detroit,
yeah, really,
if DeAndre Swift
catches that ball, they're off 1-1.
Exactly. And then Saquon got hurt middle of that game while the Giants were charging back. I mean, who knows? So you gotta beat a Bears team at home. I don't care if Julio plays or not. You have to win that game. And on Calvin Ridley, real quick, I completely agree. Especially, man, where he got drafted. I don't know off the top of my head his average draft position. But the value is skyrocket because it was definitely not as high as what he's doing right now. I mean, I think it's insane.
I thought you meant real life. You mean fantasy?
Yeah, I meant fantasy. Yeah, fantasy.
Yeah, I think he was like in the mid-30s.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if we had to redo that draft, he'd probably be in the 20s.
For sure. All right, so let's go to running back now. Who are your top running backs on the week 3 NFL?
I love the Chargers running backs. I think both of them, if you have them. Josh Kelly, I mean, if he's floating around in your league on waivers for somehow, some way, I mean, pick him up all day. I think that's just a great selection. Ecular, I think he's also a good play. I mean, they're playing the Panthers. The Panthers are one of the worst defenses in the league. They're very young up front. I think they'll just run over them all day. Miles Sanders, he's playing the Bengals. We all saw what the Bengals were on Thursday Night Football. I mean, they don't have Geno Atkins, so their run defense is just pathetic. I mean, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt put a buck. I think they both had 100, right?
Yeah, they both went off. I know that. And talk about a must-win. That's a must-win for the Eagles, too.
Oh, God. I mean, I can't. Do you what state are you in? I never asked you.
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, so you're not close to Philly. But if you ever get the chance, and maybe you could YouTube this, you got to watch NBC Sports Philadelphia when the Eagles lose. They have these guys. You got to see their post game show. It's just pure comedy. But
do they just trash on them? Like,
oh my God! I mean, have you ever met an Eagle fan?
Yeah,
The team sucks. We need to get this guy. We need to trade this guy. We need to trade for that guy. We got to fire the coach. We got to get a new general manager. We got to do this. We got to do that. I mean, it's like the season's over after one loss. But so yeah, Sanders, I think he's a good play this week. Just because it's the Bengals. Kenyon Drake versus the Lions. I mean, how could he not like that either? I mean, if you got any Cardinals player this week, start him. I mean, the Lions can't do anything on defense. And then probably my number one play, and probably a player that I'm just falling in love with fantasy-wise, Jonathan Taylor. I just think I think the world of him. I think he's just an outstanding player. And then what makes him great for fantasy is that not only does he have so much talent, but he's running behind Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, the big boys.
True big boys.
When you watch that, when I watched the film last week for him versus Minnesota, I mean, he was getting 5 yards and then getting touched. I mean, it's like by the time he's getting touched, he's already past the first down marker, so he's getting 10 yards a rip. I mean, versus the Jets, come on.
Yeah,
he's going to run over them.
He looks amazing, and Marlon Mack, it sucks he got injured, but that is all his job. That is all, he's holding on to that job, and he's going to run with it, and he's not going to let it go. I agree, and when you run behind that offensive line, I mean, shoot, me and you can put up a little yards behind that, so you got a talented guy like him. That's something, and the Jets have just been atrocious. I mean, it's hard to even watch them play. I love Joshua Kelly. I agree what you said. If he's running around out there, you got to pick him up if he's somehow not. And then, so you like the Chargers running backs. The Panthers have pretty much been that team where you play your running backs against them. Now, what about wide receivers? Who are you looking at moving forward in wide receivers this week?
I think any receiver on the Cowboys, if you have him, play him. Any receiver on the Seahawks.
Wait, so real quick about that, because this is an interesting question. I hear people talk about this all the time, and it's perfect to ask you, someone that watches the Cowboys a lot and in depth. When you have 3 receivers that have so much talent, does it worry you at all about putting in a CeeDee Lamb in regular fantasy, not DFS fantasy, because of that Cooper and Gallup are going to get their shares too? Or is it just like, this is such a good matchup, you have to play him?
Well, I could definitely see on paper why there's the fear of, them not getting enough volume. But I'm telling you what, all three of them are going to be on the field for 50 snaps a game. So they're going to have opportunities. And versus Seattle defense, that's just so porous and pass. I mean, their pass defense is so porous. I mean, they should be how could Dak not have 400 yards versus defense? I just don't see it. So if he has 400 yards, that means Cooper's having 100. Gallup's going to have at least 80. CD's going to have at least 70 to 80, and Zeke's probably going to have whatever. So I just don't see. I think it's leaning towards the matchup is just too good not to play him. But I mean, in terms of long term, I think they're guys that you want to have in a rotation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. All right, keep going. Who else do you like on the receiver side?
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks receivers, I love, DK Metcalf. I mean, my God, if you have him, make him your number one play. I mean, the Cowboys have absolutely no one to cover him. The Cowboys have, they're bringing back Brandon Carr. Brandon Carr is the corner that allowed 323 yards, I think, to Calvin Johnson 6 years ago. He was the corner that gave up to P.I. Odell on the catch, the infamous catch. And he's going to be guarding DK Metcalf and probably David Moore. But my God, if he ever gets on Metcalf's going to burn the crap out of him.
It's going to be another highlight reel. That's going to be another bad highlight reel for him.
Tyler Lockett, he's going to be getting matched up by Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis was the same corner who got absolutely toasted on that one play by Ridley. It was early it was a beautiful play. They threw the ball to Ridley. He fainted into the end zone. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was early in the game. But yeah, he was guarding. He just looked washed last week. So, I mean, maybe he bounces back. But versus Tyler Lockett, who has a really good history versus the Cowboys, I think he's put up 100 yards twice in the past two meetings. So I think Lockett's a top 5 play overall. I love DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. I think he's probably my number one play. It would be Julio, but I might probably have to go Hopkins just because, I mean, the Lions. Oh, my God.
They're terrible.
I got to say this. How do you watch that Bears game and not scratch your head?
No, seriously, man. I don't know how Patricia still has his job, man. Like I get it. It's not all on him that they just, you catch the ball, DeAndre Swift, you catch the ball, but they had a lead by, it was like 20-7 or something going into the fourth quarter, or maybe even more than that. It was just that you got to play against the Lions. I totally get that. Speaking of the Lions, I have a question, and this might be a selfish question. I have Kenny Golladay. He's come. I took him high. I really liked him last year. This is going to be his first week playing, 2 weeks out. Are you worried about him? A player coming off an injury like that, like if he is in your line, you have him, is it a must start, or would you look at other places to go?
It's pretty situational. If you're in a deeper league, absolutely, he's a must start. But if you're in like an 8 or 10 man league, you might have better options out there. As a player, I love Kenny Golladay. I think he's just a very smooth player, very smooth route runner. He goes up for the catch. He can catch in traffic. He runs well after the catch. I think there's everything you want in a receiver. Maybe a little bit more speed, but the guy's like 6'3", 200 pounds.
Yeah, I love him.
Be a huge red zone threat. And you saw that last year. He just had some really dynamic games. So I'm leaning towards if you're in a 12, 14 or up league, absolutely start Golladay. If you're in a 10 or an 8, maybe trying to get some better options out there. In terms of guys you could stream, I don't know, maybe guys like Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
If you got to really, my best opinion to you, go make sure, right? You know how Jay Glazer does his in and outs on Fox pregame?
Yeah.
He's got his big tight suit on.
Yeah.
He's got all the contacts in his phone. He's going through the in and outs. Jay's on the phone with the coaches every morning.
Oh yeah, man, Jay's the best.
Inside info.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So go watch it. Make sure just watch that Fox show. Make sure Kenny Galladay's in, and I'd start him. And I think with Stafford, Stafford is his guy. So his biggest games last year were with Stafford. I just think he's a must start. The more I think about it.
Okay. I like that too. And then I have a question for you also. The Titans playing against a very desperate, awful-looking Vikings team so far. It's in Minnesota. That Vikings secondary is just as bad as last year, if not even worse. A.J. Brown is out. Corey Davis is in. Corey Davis has looked good so far the first 2 weeks. Are you thinking that, because so far Corey Davis has been a bust for where he's gotten picked in football and in fantasy. Are you playing Corey Davis in a deeper league if you have him just because of this matchup? Or what about DFS, where you can probably get some good value on him?
Well, my guy on the Titans that I love is Joe New. I mean, I think he's the guy that's going to get all the big time targets.
Okay, the tight end.
I mean, he's your money maker. Yeah, I love him. I was talking about him on my podcast before the season as one of my sleepers at tight end. His athleticism is so rare for his size. But I mean, going back to your point about AJ, I mean, I'm dealing with the same problem. I have AJ in one of my leagues. To be honest with you, I'm in a 10-man, so I don't have Corey Davis rostered. Do I like Corey Davis? I'm kind of shaky about him. I would definitely have him rostered in a deeper league, but as a start, I'm shaky about it because I don't know what I'm going to get.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. It's very hard to play him. Just curious because I think a lot of people might be in that situation that you're in. If they have Corey Davis, you'll see if they slide him in or not. Tight end. Now, I know you talked about Joe New. He's been awesome so far. What other tight ends do you like this week 3 heading in?
I love Tyler Higbee. I think he's really, I mean, when I was breaking down the Rams tight ends, I was really the only thing I was really torn between is who McVay's going to really go to more. Is he going to favor Everett or is he going to favor Higbee? And after watching that Eagles game, it clearly seems like it was Higbee. He had a 3-touchdown week last week. I think he's a must start if you have him on your team. Your boy Hayden Hurst. He ain't bad. I'll tell you what, for fantasy, he ain't bad.
No way.
He's not really a blocker, so I guess that's why the Ravens decided to just cut bait with him. Also because they had a guy named Mark Andrews. But, you put Hurst in the Falcons' offense. That's a good offense for him. Run down the field, get open, catch the ball, keep the chains moving. So I don't think Hayden Hurst is a bad play at all. In terms of maybe a streamer, like a guy you could pick up 12:45 before kickoff, I like Chris Herndon. His stats have been horrible this year, but with Herndon, do you see the Jets injury report?
Yeah, man, it's ridiculous. Who do they have? They have nobody.
They have nobody. All the receivers are hurt. Now, I'm not even kidding. They have 4 receivers hurt. Crowder's hurt. Denzel Mims, the rookie they picked in the second round, hurt. And then a couple other guys they brought up off the street are hurt. So I think it's Braxton Berrios, and then I don't even know the other guy.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, man.
But Herndon.
So, funny thing, I actually went to high school with Braxton. He's actually a buddy of mine, so it's actually really cool. Yeah, it's actually really cool to see him play. He got a touchdown last week. I was so happy to see that. I hate people that get hurt, hate that for them, but this is a cool time to see Braxton do his thing, and maybe he'll score another touchdown again. But yeah, he went to my high school, which is pretty crazy.
That's pretty funny because when I was doing my podcast yesterday, I was looking at the Jets depth chart. I'm like, who the heck is this guy?
He hasn't done much, really.
Was he drafted?
Yeah, he was drafted by the Patriots in the 6th round a couple years ago. He was on the Patriots for about 2 years. He couldn't stay healthy, so the Patriots dropped him, and the Jets picked him up. He went to Miami, so he went to the University of Miami, and Adam Gase was the head coach for the Dolphins down there when he was with Miami, so they kind of built a little bit of a relationship since they play in the same stadium, and Gase took a flyer on him, and hey, this was the first game he got to play last week, and it paid off, so we'll see if he can keep it up.
Heck, that might be a stream option, the way you're talking about him, but
I might be a little biased.
I think with Herndon, look, I don't know what he is as a player, but I just don't see how he doesn't get 10 targets.
Yeah.
He's the only player on that field that Sam Darnold has a rapport with. All those other guys are just new guys off the street. So I think it's just a stream option. He's an ideal play. But I don't know. I guess my number one guy, if I had to pick one, obviously disregarding, the Travis Kelce, the Mark Andrews. I'm a really big fan. I like Gesicki a lot. He already played, though. But I think Jared Cook might be a solid play. I know he's old man, but I think with Michael Thomas down, he's going to be a really solid option going forward. And, with the way Drew Brees looked after that Raider game, I'm telling you what, he's going to want a lot of underneath throws. It doesn't look like Drew Brees has really had that ability to stretch the field. So I think he's going to really want those tight ends to be open for him as well as Alvin Kamara. So I think Jared Cook is going to see his fair share of targets.
Yeah, I actually really like that play of Jared Cook because Drew Brees, I mean, Sean Payton, he's got to help him out here because clearly he cannot throw the ball down the field anymore. And Sean Payton's going to have to change up his game plan if Michael Thomas is out because he's going to have to do the dump passes to Kamara, like you said, and those slant passes. That's what he loves. That's why Michael Thomas catches so many passes. But I like all of those. Now, do you have I know not, defense, people do look into defenses. Do you have a streaming defense that you love this week? Have you looked into that?
I do. I have one streaming defense, and I'll tell you what, if you guys want a defense tip, here's just what you got to do.
Okay.
This is a joke I've been having last year. I say this to my buddy all the time, but he laughs at me. He's like, come on, you can work playing this defense, and like you see who they're playing, just fade the Redskins. I'm serious, dude. Whatever defense is playing the Redskins, pick them up.
Okay.
All right? And if you don't believe me in that theory, go watch the Redskins on offense, and then you can come back to me.
Is it because of Dwayne Haskins?
Dwayne Haskins, their system is horrible. Their line isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have no receivers, so they're not fast at all. I mean, Antonio Gibson, the third-round pick they have, is their best player on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, Dwayne Haskins, I don't know what Dwayne had. I know he's better than he was last year, but that isn't saying much considering how poor he was. But, I mean, considering a new coaching staff, okay, maybe he's a little bit better. But, I mean, listen, through 2 weeks, from what I saw for the Redskins, they barely changed compared to last year. Last year, I was every single week just pick against the Redskins, pick against the Redskins. This year, I'm still doing that. But, I mean, look, if you have a Steelers defense, something like a really top upper echelon defense, okay, start them. But if you're looking for a streaming option, just fade the Redskins. So this play would be the Browns.
Okay, hey, you heard it here. All right, if you listen to Emmett's podcast, GSMC Fantasy Football, then you've heard it there. But if not, there it is. Take the team that's playing technically the Washington football team now. That's who it is.
Man, I can't believe it.
So that's who you.
It's going to take so long for that.
I know, man. It's honestly just like the whole Los Angeles, to Chargers, San Diego thing. Like, and this is even harder because Washington's been around for so long. All right, let me ask you this off the fly here. I want just to get into football, then we'll have to get out of here. All right, you've got some 2-0 teams going off against each other, the Rams against the Bills. Josh Allen has looked awesome, all right? He's got a lot of doubters, but it looks like people are maybe starting to change their mind about him. Are you favoring Josh Allen to show up against a really good team, or is this going to be one of those games where he's been beaten up against bad teams so far and the Rams give it to the Bills this week?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen was outstanding last week, but I mean, Miami really had some issues defensively. I think they got it cleaned up on the Thursday night game. You saw that, but I mean, they had the rookie out there, their first-round pick. He looked horrible. He was just getting burned by Stephon Diggs, and they were giving up a lot of chunk plays. So I think the numbers last week for Allen could be a little overinflated, but in terms of how his matchup this week, I mean, it's pretty 50-50, if I got to be honest with you. If I had to probably take a lean, I probably would take Buffalo, considering the Rams are 2-0. I don't know how long the Rams are going to really keep this up for. I mean, their roster doesn't say that they should be 2-0, but, I mean, good coaching makes you 2-0, so I don't know. But I'd probably lean Buffalo.
Okay, awesome. I love it. This is Emmet Weinman doing a great job. He has his own podcast, GSMC Football, or Fantasy Football Podcast. Go check that out. Hey, what days do you release your podcast?
Yeah, really. So you can follow it on, go to Twitter. That's the best way. Go to Twitter, GSMC_F-Football. Obviously, it means Fantasy Football. It's really linked to the GSMC Football account. So if you follow that, you'll find that account there. I usually post a lot of content on the Fantasy Football account. But my podcast will be uploaded probably it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I would say Wednesday would be the midweek day, and then you can get all the selections and DFS picks on Saturday. So today, it should be coming out.
Perfect. Just time. Now, one real quick, I know you have your best bet of the week you want to give out to against the spread for week 3. Who do you have?
Yeah, we're going to go down to the Mile High, and we're going to take Tampa. And the reason is because Denver is just a freaking joke. Let's look at the Denver Broncos roster, first of all. I mean, you're coming into the season, you think, okay, we're going to have a good defense. Well, not anymore. You lost Chris Harris, you lost Bradley Chubb, and then during the offseason program, you lost Von Miller, your number one guy. So, their defense is going to play okay just due to the fact that they have Vic Fangio, one of the more respected defensive minds in the NFL. However, I just don't know what they are as a team. I just don't think they have an identity. They don't have a lot of everything. They don't have Drew Lock. They don't have Courtland Sutton. They don't have Phillip Lindsay. The injuries go on and on and on. Honestly, I think after this game, John Elway's got to sit down and really start to do some thinking. Hey, we might want to get in the run for Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not even kidding. I think this is just not going to be a good game at all for the Broncos. So with the Bucs, Brady, he's finally getting Mike Evans back and Chris Godwin on the same page. So that's going to be exciting to watch. And, if you give him a clean pocket all day, he's going to be doing fine.
Yeah.
I don't care about the altitude, nothing. If he gets a clean pocket, they'll be okay. So I'll trust Brady over a rookie quarterback, or not a rookie quarterback, but a 6th-round pick, even though Brady was one himself.
That's different.
Every day of the week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you all day on that, and I actually think that Trevor Lawrence idea is not bad because they have talent. The Broncos have talent on the offense, with Judy and Fant and Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay. It's there, but freaking Elway cannot get the quarterback right to save his life. The Buccaneers are 5.5 favorites. Emmett says lay the wood with the Bucs. I agree with that all day. Emmet Weinman here. He loves the Cowboys. Pretty much any player on there against that Seahawks defense this week. Play them. Play those Seahawks wide receivers. And play any team that is going up against the Washington football team. You heard it here. That's his secret. Emmet, thanks so much, man. It was awesome talking to you. And we will definitely keep this up and keep it going and see what the fans think of it as we go.
I love to come on every week, man. I love talking ball. So
we'll do it.
Great.
We'll do it, man. Appreciate it.
No doubt.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
We are back here at the GSMC Football Podcast. We are heading into segment number 4, quarter number 4. Throw up the 4 fingers as we always like to do. And we've got a special little segment here with you guys today. We are bringing on our esteemed sports reporter once again, Sarah Izami. Oh, Sarah Mumford,
Yeah.
I guess. Well, see, I always get this wrong because it's weird,
I know.
She got married to, I guess, my brother-in-law now, as I've mistaken that the last show. So it's Sarah Mumford. We'll go with that, and we appreciate you being here, Sarah. How are you doing?
Hey, Kayvon. I'm good. How are you? I'm excited to be back.
Yeah. I think the fans really liked you. We got some, couple bad reviews, but no, I'm just kidding. Man, pretty much all good reviews, so we're allowed to have you back on now. And what we're going to do with Sarah today, we're going to do a segment called Buy or Sell, kind of like what happens in the stock market. If you like a team, if you like a product, a corporation, you'll buy that stock. And this is when you buy them when they're only 2-0 because it's a mystery still. We've seen 2 weeks of them, but it's not enough to say, okay, they're legit teams. So you buy them while they still aren't too high of a price, or you sell them. It depending on how we like them moving forward. So we're going to talk about all the 2-0 teams. The 2-0 teams that we are not going to talk about because I think we all can agree is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. I think everyone that has any type of football mind will agree that they are legit and you are buying those teams and they're playing each other Monday Night Football. It's going to be a great, great game, and we've already talked about that earlier in the show here. So I'm buying those all day, and I don't think we really need to waste time talking about them. We will talk about the rest of the 2-0 teams now, though, moving forward. So, Sarah, let's start off. Who do you have as the first 2-0 team that we are buying or selling?
All right, first up, are you buying or selling the Arizona Cardinals 2-0 start?
Yeah, great question. I'm buying the Cardinals all day, baby. I love Kyler Murray. I love everything about Kyler Murray. I think this is the toughest division in football. I'm not going to lie. Heading into the season, I said that the NFC South was the best division of football. 2 weeks in, I can already change my mind and say I was wrong on that. The Saints don't look as good. The Falcons just keep breaking my heart. And the Bucs are looking like they're on the come up, and the Panthers have a lot of work to do. So, but you have 3 teams here that are 2-0 with a San Francisco team that's 1-1. Every team is good. I love the Cardinals. I really, really do. I think Arizona, I think Kyler Murray will be, somewhat in the conversation for MVP. And if you take a look at their schedule here, they have a legit shot. They're 2-0 now. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Washington football team. They play the Lions this week. They play the Panthers next week. And then they play the Jets. They have a very realistic chance of going 5-0 to start the season. I mean, they will be favored in all of those games and by a good amount, too. You start a season 5-0, that is an impressive feat, and that's something that's going to head you to, keep you going towards the playoffs, in my opinion. I am buying the Arizona Cardinals at 2-0. Who do we have next?
All right, next up, we got Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are 2-0, and they have looked really good in both of those wins. Are you buying or selling the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, so let's put it this way. I'm buying the Packers, but I'm not going all in on them. I am still skeptical. This is why. They have beaten a Minnesota Vikings team that is absolutely awful on defense. They cannot stop anyone. They let Phillip Rivers throw for like 500 yards against them. They let Jonathan Taylor run down their mouth the entire game. They destroyed a bad Vikings team, and then they destroyed a bad Lions team. So while I like the Packers and while I think Aaron Rodgers is on this revenge tour and he's out to prove everyone wrong, I still think that they have questions that they have not proven from last year. And that is when you play a team like San Francisco that can run the ball, what are they going to be able to do? Are they going to be able to stop that? They still only have one really good receiver in Devontae Adams, and he is already injured 3 weeks into the season. That's not a good sign. I like Aaron Jones. I like Aaron Rodgers. I think Matt LaFleur is a great coach, so I'm buying them because I think they'll win the division. But when it comes to actually winning and going to the Super Bowl, there are still a lot of questions that have to be answered for me with that team. Who do you have next?
All right, next up, Josh Allen has shut up the critics so far and has the Bills 2-0. Are you buying or selling the Bills?
Yeah, I'm buying the Bills. I'm buying the Bills to make the playoffs. I'm buying Josh Allen. I'm very high on Josh Allen. I think he's a great player. I think his passing is getting better, and I think that the organization of the Bills has done such a good job of putting talent around this guy. They bring in Stephon Diggs. Diggs is leading the NFL in receiving yards already 2 weeks in. They have John Brown. They're getting better on the defensive side of the ball after a little bit of a slow start. So I like the Bills. I still think the Patriots are winning this division. I think Cam Newton is on a mission. I think Bill Belichick is still the best coach in the league. But I really, really like the Bills as they take a step forward. They'll make the playoffs. Hope maybe they'll be able to win a playoff game this year. And people need to stop hating on Josh Allen because he is showing week after week he can do it. He has a very tough opponent this week against the Rams. It will be his first hardest opponent of the year. Can he show out? I think he will. I think he'll play good. I do think the Rams end up winning that game, as we talked about earlier. But the Bills are a legit team, and you need to buy them like I am.
All right, next up we got the Tennessee Titans, who are off to a fast start. 2-0 on the season behind the play of Ryan Tannehill. Are you buying or selling the Tennessee Titans?
I'm selling the Titans, and this is why. I'm selling the Titans because if you've watched their first 2 games, Derrick Henry has not looked good at all. He hasn't even scored a touchdown yet. We're talking about Derrick Henry here. This guy is like 200 pounds. He is impossible to stop, and he can't even score a touchdown yet. Ryan Tannehill looks great. He looks really, really good. There's no doubt about that. And he's showing why Tennessee wanted to sign him to this big deal. But I have questions of if he can keep this up all year long. Can they get Derrick Henry going? That's going to be the question. Because if they can't get Derrick Henry going, I don't believe Tannehill can keep this type of play up every single week. It's got to become balanced. It's got to become Derrick Henry's the leader, and then Ryan Tannehill goes from what Derrick Henry opens up for him. So I am selling them. Their defense looks atrocious. They let Gardner Minshew put up 33 points against them last week. That's got to get together, and Derrick Henry's got to get it together. So for that, I am selling the Tennessee Titans.
All right, next up, Sean McVay is back at it. He has the Rams sitting at 2-0 before their big-time matchup against the Bills this week. Are you buying or selling the Rams?
I'm buying the Rams. I love the Rams. I love Sean McVay. I think Sean McVay is showing why everybody in the league wanted to hire someone that had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay. He's showing it because this is what he does. They get rid of Todd Gurley. Everyone says, how are they going to have a run game? They've had an awesome run game with a committee back. They're using guys like Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson. They're just switching it up. Jared Goff looks amazing on the run. They make Jared Goff go on the run more than any team in the NFL. He is always on the run. He's better throwing on the run. This offense is great. And the defense, Jalen Ramsey, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. My second best cornerback behind Stephon Gilmore. Aaron Donald is still a beast. This team is, from top to bottom, a legit team. There's not many holes with this team, and they're very well coached. That type of setup, I'm buying all day long.
Okay, Big Ben has looked great so far in his return to injury and has had the Pittsburgh Steelers at 2-0. Are you buying or selling the Steelers?
Yeah, I'm buying the Steelers as well, and this is why. I love Big Ben. I think Big Ben, I predicted it before the season. I said the Steelers are going to win 11 games this year, and I said Big Ben's going to look great. Now, we all know if Big Ben gets hurt, it's over. All right, some guy named Mason Rudolph or some guy with the first name Duck is not going to come in here and actually do good. Okay, so that's a fact. But their defense looks like it's the best in the league. I mean, they made Saquon Barkley look like a normal person in week one, which is very hard to do. Their defense is legit from top to bottom. It finally looks like that steel curtain defense is back. And Big Ben with guys like Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner and Benny Snell, they are ready. They're better. Mike Tomlin's a great coach. He's a player's coach. They have a good offensive line. They're built for that type of run in warm or cold weather. I'm buying the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who you got next?
John Gruden, a.k.a. Chucky, has the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-0 after a big-time Monday night win against the Saints. Are you buying this 2-0 start by the Raiders?
Yeah, I'm buying. Hey, look, Chucky, John Gruden, that's my guy. And Sarah, it's the Raiders. Okay, you have to say it like that. All right, it's the Raiders. And I'm buying Las Vegas because before the season, if you listen to the show, I told you guys the Raiders will make the playoffs. And so far, that looks good. I do think they will lose to New England this week because it's very hard to beat a Bill Belichick team that is coming off a loss. That doesn't happen often. But Darren Waller looks like he is ready to be in the conversation with the Travis Kelce's and the George Kittles and the Zach Ertz tight ends of the world. Derek Carr looks like he's ready to really hold on to that weight of being a legit quarterback for this Las Vegas team. And Josh Jacobs looks like he is ready to be in the conversation as one of the best running backs in the league. I love everything about this team. Their defense is a little skeptical. They've got to get that. If the defense plays like they did against the Saints, we have to see if that was more of the Raiders or just bad Drew Brees. We'll see as that goes. That will play out. But all in all, I'm sticking with the Raiders to make the playoffs. I am very high, and I'm buying Chucky and the Raiders.
All right, next up we got the Bears. The Chicago Bears and Mitch Trubisky are surprising 2-0 to start the season. Can the Bears keep this up? Are you buying or selling them?
I'm selling them. I'm selling the Bears. I love Matt Nagy. I think that Matt Nagy is a really good coach. I think he's doing the best he can with what he has. But all in all, Mitch Trubisky is their quarterback. And they have really played 2 games where they could be 0-2. You know, they're 2-0, but if DeAndre Swift doesn't catch a layup, literally it was just a layup pass in the end zone, they're 1-1. If Daniel Jones converts on that last drive or Saquon Barkley doesn't get hurt, who knows? They're 0-2, all right? They're going now to a Atlanta Falcons team that should be pissed off, and if they don't win by 50, then I'm going to freak out. But the Bears, I need to see way more. I need to see them beat legit teams before I can call them a real team, and I just don't know if I can keep trusting Mitch Trubisky to lead this team to wins. Okay, if you played teams like Detroit all season, then yeah, you know what? I would buy you then. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen for them. I am selling the Chicago Bears. This is a fake 2-0 start.
All right, last but not least, we have Russell Wilson, who's looking like the best quarterback in the NFL so far this season. Are you buying the 2-0 start that Seattle has right now?
Oh, yeah. How can you not? Russell Wilson looks like he's the best quarterback in the NFL, like you just said. I mean, even better than Patrick Mahomes. He looks amazing. He looks like he wants to win the MVP. I am buying the Seahawks all day. There is one problem, though. Their defense is atrocious. They have allowed the most yards per pass. They have allowed the most points so far through 2 weeks, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to just cut them up all day on Sunday as well. I think the Seahawks will win that game, but it's going to be another high-scoring game because their defense is a problem. It's going to all be on the back of Russell Wilson to keep this team going, and I think Russell Wilson is ready for that task. I think he wants that task. I am buying the Seattle Seahawks. I do not know if they can win the Super Bowl, though, or make it there because of how bad that defense is. But in the regular season right now, they are by far one of the best teams out there. So I am buying Russell Wilson. Awesome. Thank you, thank you very much, Sarah. You did a great job. Our esteemed sports reporter is back at it. And we hope everyone enjoyed the segment. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayvon. It's always a fun time with you.
Yep, this is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. We have about 6 minutes left in the show, coming down the final stretch, ready to get in the end zone one more time, build up that lead, cover the spread, have some fun, and move on. Now, I want to do a couple things in these last 6 minutes because, first of all, big thanks to Emmet Weinman from the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast host to come on and talk some great fantasy football, regular football with us. Big thanks to Sarah Mumford for coming on as our esteemed sports reporter, asking me those tough questions that I just eat up all days of the week because I just spit out my sports knowledge like a true boss and give you guys the answers that you all want to hear. So, now, how we like to always give you guys our best bets of the week, right? So, last week, we went 4-1. 4-1, baby. So, we are a total of 6-4. No, excuse me. Yes, 6-4 overall. We told you guys last week that we like the Buccaneers catching 8.5 minus 8.5 at home. That home opener for Tom Brady against the Panthers. They covered that pretty well. They covered that pretty easy. We told you guys we like the Arizona Cardinals against the Washington football team -7. Arizona covered that, and Kyler Murray and his great play so far. We told you that we like the Giants plus 5.5 against the Bears. They covered that. They almost even won that outright, which was great. We told you guys we like the Raiders at home against New Orleans on Monday night. They covered that. We should have even gone big time and bet the money line there. That would have been awesome. And then the one we got wrong was we told you that we like the Vikings to bounce back. They were +3 on the road at Indianapolis. You know, I kind of oversold what I saw from Indy week 1. I really thought that they looked bad against the Jaguars, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth. So I got that one wrong. I found out, that Jacksonville's actually better than they seem. So overall, 4-1, not bad. We went 2-3 week 1, 4-1 week 2. We now have an overall record of 6-4, which I think is a pretty good record. So hopefully, you're having some fun with that. You're winning some money. You're being responsible. You're being sensible. Don't be stupid. Don't bet anything you don't have. It's just for fun. It's just for fun. I'm lucky enough where I'm pretty good at this, so I like to throw a couple dollars here and there, which is awesome. But overall, if I don't have the money, I'm not betting it. It's for fun. It's to get you entertained in some other games. Be sensible. Be smart. Don't be dumb about it. Only bet money if you have it for fun. Now, the games this week. Kayvon's best bets of the week. Let's keep that winning week 2 rolling as we head into winning week 3. All right, here we go. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this one more time, guys. One more time. And if they let me down, it's over. I will never bet them again. I'm going to pick my Atlanta Falcons. -3 at home against the Bears. And this is why I'm picking my Atlanta Falcons. You are down. You are 0-2. Your coach is on the hottest of hot seats in the entire NFL. Yes, more hot than Adam Gase. More hot after that. You should be 1-1. You should be so angry. And you should come in and beat the brakes off Chicago Bears. You should come in here and beat the brakes off the Chicago Bears. It is that simple. So I am going to lay the points with the Atlanta Falcons. I am going to take the -3 with the Atlanta Falcons at home. I understand Julio might not play, but there are no more excuses. It is win or pack up the bags and end the season now. They must come out and win, and they better win handily. Give me the Falcons -3. The next, give me the Los Angeles Rams getting 2 points, going on the road to Buffalo. Sean McVay is 5-0 since he's been the head coach of Los Angeles, coming here on the East Coast in early games, those 1 o'clock games. He is 5-0. He is 13-5 as a coach against the spread since joining the Los Angeles Rams as their head coach. 2-0 this year, covering both spreads. They've beaten 2 good teams in the Cowboys and the Eagles last week, even though the Eagles do not, and the Cowboys, both look shaky, but overall 2 teams that people expect to be good. The Rams are legit. They really are. I think they win the game outright. But if not, I think that it's a 1-point or a 2-point possession game. I got them at 2.5. Give me the Rams plus 2.5. The next one that I really like, I like the Patriots, -5.5 at home against the Raiders. Look, Bill Belichick is someone you do not want to mess with after a loss. They are so good after a loss. I think I love what the Raiders are doing. I think the Raiders have shown that they are a good team. I think John Gruden has shown that he is ready to be a good coach and he is ready to lead this team to the playoffs. But this week is going to be tough. They just came off a super high win against the Saints on Monday night. They opened up that new arena. I think it's going to be now they have to go all the way across to the East Coast, take on those New England Patriots that came off a loss against Seattle. I think New England and Cam Newton and Bill Belichick will be ready to go. I think Julian Edelman has a big day. Give me the Patriots -5.5 against the Rams. And my last one, give me the Carolina Panthers on the road plus 6.5 against the Chargers. The Chargers are starting Justin Herbert, which I think gives them a better chance to win, and I think the Chargers do end up winning this game. But I do not think they are good enough to run away from a team like the Panthers, who will throw the ball a lot. Robbie Anderson has looked good. Teddy Bridgewater has played well. And I think that the Panthers keep this game close. I think it's a 3-point game, and I think the Chargers go away with a 4-point win. But 6.5 is a little bit too much for a team that is starting a rookie quarterback. Give me the Panthers plus 6.5 to win it. This is the GSMC Football Podcast, and those are my best bets of the week. I have the Atlanta Falcons -3. Please, Falcons, please don't let me down there. I have the Los Angeles Rams heading to Buffalo in a great 2-0 showdown. Give me the Rams plus 2.5. I have the I have the Patriots -5.5 at home off a loss against the Las Vegas Raiders. And I have the Carolina Panthers plus 6.5 on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers and rookie Justin Herbert. Have some fun, be smart, win some money. This is the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. We really, really thank everyone for listening. I would like you to please go out and subscribe to the show, write a nice review, hit that like button on YouTube, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, hit the little bell so you know when new episodes come out like this one. Also, if you can, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, a great night, and a great weekend of college and NFL football. We will break it all down on Tuesday. Have a good one.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.